on the network. We're in record mode, Doc. Thank you so much for your time.
Well, optimum blessings to you.
Yes, sir.
Of course, we extend the optimum blessing to those who are watching and to those who are going to be watching the rebroadcast. Trust that you're having a great weekend. And the thing that really stands out, as we talk about community healing.
Yes, sir.
Well, you can't foster community healing if you're not aware of what's taking place within the community.
Yeah, exactly.
And
right.
here's something that's vitally important. Anytime you look at what's taking place in the community, you must factor in the people factor. See that because the community is comprised of people.
Yeah.
So the people factor. Now, here's something that's vitally important when you start to discuss that and start to look at that. No two people are the same. So if there's going to be community healing, then you have to deal with relationships. When you're dealing with relationships and it comes to community healing, you must determine and ascertain the degree of the level of your relational IQ. What's your relational IQ? See, if you're not knowledgeable when it comes to relational IQ, then there's no way that you're going to be sensitive to the different people in your community. If you're not sensitive and knowledgeable about the relational IQ, you don't know how to respond, watch this now, and how to interact with the different categories or the different groups of people who comprise or make up your community. Here's another critical thing when it comes to that. We have a community that's in crisis. We're talking about community healing. When we're going to be truthful about it, we have a community that's in crisis. Now, when we have a community that's in crisis, it's not wise to try to have an unjust or unbalanced scale. You can't put it all on one group of people. You can't put it all, you can't put it all, let's say with these elections, you can't put it all on one party. See, that's what has our community, our nation in crisis now. People trying to blame a party for everything that's wrong in the community, in the country. You can't do that. Right. Here's the other thing. When you have a community that's in crisis, you have leadership that's in crisis. Now we get to the bottom of everything. But the same thing again. You can't say everything that's wrong is based upon the leadership of this group and nothing's based upon the leadership of the other group. See, because then you don't have a balance. And one of the things that's been going on with this country, with the people, is that there's an imbalance. We don't have a tendency to be willing to tolerate the differences and learn how to navigate through the differences. You tolerate the differences. Now, when I say tolerate the differences, I'm not saying that you have to accept those things into your life that are detrimental. I'm saying, however, you must be willing to come to bring a resolution that can bring a win-win out of the situation. We have to get rid of the mentality of the mindset that somebody's got to win, somebody's have to lose. See, that's a mentality, that's a mindset that's been set in place. Winners and losers, winners and losers. And so people began to look from that perspective, winners and losers. If I didn't come out on top, if I didn't get it my way, then I lost. See, and it doesn't necessarily mean that you lost. It simply means that what you wanted was not accepted or did not take place at that time. So you need to learn the value and the power of negotiation and learn how to come back and discuss and bring resolution to those things that you did not agree with, that you did not agree upon. So that's something that's very, very important. So here's something. Community in crisis. This deals with transformational leadership when you come to think about it. You have to know how to lead in crisis. So here's a statement that I want to make. During times of crisis, it's important for the leaders to know and understand that leading in crisis is different from leading during normal times. Leading in times of crises is different from leading during normal times, because leading in crises means that I'm going to have to embrace something that I wouldn't normally embrace. I'm going to have to be introduced to something that I would not normally be introduced to. So now I have to come at it from a different perspective. And when I'm leading in crisis, that means that I'm going to have to respond to a situation that did not normally exist, is not a part of our everyday lives. What we're seeing now in our community as a result of the election, as a result of some social injustices, as a result of some ignorance, might as well say it, you know, hatred and bitterness, it's caused some chaotic times and situations to take place in our communities. And so we have to understand that. Here's something that's vitally important. You see, praying, pray. Prayer is powerful, but no, prayer ain't gonna take this away. It's something that people are gonna have to do. Right. People are going to have to make a decision, watch this now, to make the necessary adjustments to transform in order for these things to be resolved and in order for there to be a win-win, you know, situation, a win-win solution. So we said that during times of crises, it's important for the leader to know and understand that leading in crisis is different from leading during normal times, and expectations, or let me say this, expecting changes, expectations are for what you want, going to require a leader to view things from a different observation point. Yeah. If I expect transformation, if I expect change, expecting changes must be viewed from a different observation point by the leaders. I can't view it from the normal place because it's not normal. So that's very important. Very important. Come on, I'm gonna pause for a moment. Come on.
That's good, Doc. Hey, ladies and gentlemen, thank you so much for joining us on Community Healing today. You know, Doc, as you know, we've been talking on our midday about indicators, and we're not going to get too deep in that today, but as you know, community does have indicators that must be reviewed, must be looked at, must be considered. You know, I was looking up some stuff too about what a community looks like, Doc. And of course, you already talked about this, but diversity. A community is very diverse, and that has to be considered when you're looking at a community. So we got to look at not just our particular area, we got to look at the whole body of the community as well. And Doc, also, as you talk about systems and so forth as well, you know, the win-lose type of thing, you know, what we got to remember is that there is a system. And the system is done correctly, you know, whether it's voting or you're getting a new position or whatever, or you applied properly and the testing was done properly and all that stuff. If all that was done correctly and you won, you won. But if you lost, you lost, because the system says this is a certain area that you have achieved or didn't achieve. Now, it doesn't mean that anything's wrong with you, but what we got to come up with, Doc, if I lost a particular race, I may have to come up with another strategy. I may have to come up with some new ways. I might have to analyze what has happened, you know, maybe some mistakes I made in my campaigning or whatever, you know, situation is. But also I may have to make some adjustments too, Doc. That's important too when we talk about community healing and community in crisis, that I have to somehow come back and say, okay, what can I do differently for the next run in that area? Powerful area.
Yeah, but you see, I'm separating this from the election. See, the election doesn't even come into play here. Put the election out of play. Put the election out. It's dealing with people and the way that they respond to things when things don't go their way.
Exactly.
See, that's what we deal with the community, because the election is going to be gone. And so the thing about that is, how do I respond to critical situations? How do I respond to that as a person? And then here's something that's important. Now, I say put the election out of the way because I don't want to pinpoint a specific individual. I want to deal with just leadership responding to
The system, yeah. We're
critical
talking about system.
situations,
Absolutely.
and community, and to a community that's in crisis.
Absolutely. Talking about system.
Here's something that's so vitally important that I have here. And I just went back and pulled this up from some stuff that I had.
Mm-hmm.
I just went back. I said, let me pull this out. Here's something.
Yeah.
Leading during times of crisis should be viewed as an opportunity to learn something. Not, this is it. It should be as an opportunity to learn something, not viewed as a time to panic.
Right.
Very important.
Yep.
Effective leaders, transformational leaders, community leaders. Now listen to this. Each and every person should view his or herself as a leader in some capacity. Yes, because if you're not leading on a local, or if you're not leading on a national, regional, district, or global perspective, you're leading in some capacity inside the relationships of your home. So watch this now. Inside your home, you could have a community that's in crisis.
That's right.
So the thing that's so vitally important is always get this. Stop looking outside of your home at everything else and focus on the interior. Because if you're not doing what you're expecting others to do, you don't even reserve the right to have an opinion about what others are doing. If you're not doing in your sphere of influence, if you're not doing in your sphere where you have people who will listen to you and give attention to what you say, if you're not practicing what you're preaching internally in your sphere of influence, you need to breathe in your nose and keep your mouth shut, because you don't have a right to voice an opinion. I was talking to someone now prior to the elections, and this person said, I'm not going to vote. Okay. And then this person stated the reasons why they're not going to vote because of the things that they saw wrong with this person. Then they stated the reason they're not going to vote because of the things that they saw wrong with this person. So, you know, I'll be darned if you do, I'll be darned if you don't. Then my thought, and I just let them talk.
Yeah. Yeah.
I did not respond to that statement, but I'm thinking like, that's really ignorance going somewhere to set a seed, because you're going to complain when whoever gets in office and what they're doing, you're going to have a complaint, but you don't reserve the right to complain because you didn't participate. So if you're not participating, shut up. You know, and if you're not practicing it inside of your community, be quiet. Now, something that's very important. We said leading during times of crisis should be viewed as an opportunity to learn something, not a time to panic. Now, here's something that I do with amplified leadership. Amplified leadership will take advantage of the crisis. See, amplified leadership won't panic during the time of crisis. Amplified leadership will take advantage of the crisis. Here's something. Never waste a crisis. Never waste a time of crisis. Don't waste it. It's an opportunity. You learn from the crisis because crisis is a time of teaching, or crises are teachers. Whenever you have a crisis in your life, whenever you have a crisis in your community, crisis will be a teacher. So what do you learn from the crisis? Come on, talk to us.
I love it. Yeah, Doc, I'll just write down a few things. Hey, ladies and gentlemen, thank you so much for those who are just joining us. This is your community healing series with Dr. Carnes today. Elder Kevin Vaughan with you. You know, Doc, you hit it right on the head about leadership. One thing with leadership as well, as we all may know, is that with good training, and experience, you can anticipate certain crises when you have certain indicators or certain things that happen in a community, in a home, or whatever situation as well, Doc. So that's powerful right there, what you talk about. But I think with that advanced leadership, they don't panic. They know exactly what to do. In some cases, if you have some good information, good intel, as we say, Doc, in the world, you can anticipate what can happen, and you can actually get ahead of a crisis, get ahead of a situation if you're trained enough and understand, you know, what needs to be done and what can be done for a community, for a home, whatever situation you got, Doc. So that's right on the money, Doc. But leadership, key leadership, I should say, and what I call mature leadership, can anticipate a crisis and also head it off in some cases, Doc. Back to you. Powerful.
Yeah, see, during times of leadership, and when we were talking about leadership crises, we're talking about things that where
Yeah.
what we consider normal is disrupted.
Yeah.
Then we talked about the relational IQ. I must be sensitive to the needs. I must be sensitive to the desires. I must be sensitive to the feelings of others. See,
Yeah. Yeah.
that's where
Yeah.
community healing takes place. So
Yeah.
now
That's very
I must
important.
be sensitive to those things. Now,
Hmm.
it's not even ascertaining as to whether or not the people are right or wrong, their
Hmm.
opinion of what
Hmm.
they think is right or wrong. I must be sensitive to
Yeah.
their opinion.
Yeah.
I may not agree with them, but I don't have to agree to be
Gotta
sensitive.
listen. Gotta listen to
And
them.
so that's so critical. Now,
Hmm.
so then we talk about, we deal with different laws of relationship.
Hmm.
The law of mutual benefit.
Yeah.
When we talk about relationship, we talk about community healing. And when crises, show up in our lives, we must be aware of the fact that there are some mutual benefits. So healthy relationships must be win-win relationships.
Hmm.
It doesn't
Hmm.
have to be I win, you lose.
Right.
And so that's so vitally important. Now, when I talked about leading in crisis, and crisis not necessarily being bad, it's because
Hmm.
crisis will foster or bring in, you heard me say this before, disorder. And disorder has to be embraced
Yeah.
because it's there, it's real.
Hmm. Hmm.
There's disorder that's taking place, and so this disorder has to be embraced. It has to be embraced. Why? Because disorder is more powerful than order.
Hmm. Yeah.
Say that to say what? When disorder occurs, then we must make the necessary adjustments to correct
Hmm.
the thing that's gone wrong.
Hmm.
And if we are really sensitive and concerned
Hmm.
about not only ourselves, but about the community,
Yeah.
then I'm going to look at it from a perspective of getting outside of myself to seeing what's in it for me, to look at it from the position of what can I do that will bring healing to the whole.
Right.
See, so with
Yeah.
community healing, it's the entire community that needs to be healed,
Hmm. Hmm.
and not just my one little sector or my one little corner or my one little clique.
Hmm.
But it's the entire community that needs to be healed. So what's necessary and what can I do to foster internal healing? Watch this now, internal healing, not external. During
Hmm.
times of community healing, it must be fostered from an internal healing perspective. Now, here we go. Internal healing will take place by renewing the spirit of the mind.
Yeah, Doc.
You can't
Yeah.
get away from renewing the spirit of the mind. You can't get away from internal spiritual transformation. You can't get away from transformation from an internal perspective. The
Hmm.
renewing, the restructuring, if you will, of your spiritual DNA, your
Hmm.
spiritual makeup, because that's where it comes from. Well, how do you do that? What am I feeding myself? What am I feeding my
Hmm. Hmm. Yes,
My
sir.
spirit is fed based upon what I know. What I know, what I believe to be true, what I believe to be fact. So if I believe something that's detrimental to the health of the community, and that becomes my truth, what am I going to give birth to? See, I'm going to give birth to that thing that's going to be detrimental to the community, right? Because now all I'm concerned with is self-gratification, selfishness now.
Hmm.
So what we have as a community, we have a world, we have a country where that's selfish. Well, our country is divided, it's split.
Yeah.
Now, some of the things, because people uphold laws and things from the past.
Right.
Now you just got to be realistic. Let's be vulnerable.
Yep.
Let's be transparent. You
Yep.
have people that hold laws and things from the past, and they still want to have those things in place.
Yep.
You cannot have community healing as long as you try to foster and support a system that's going to oppress a certain group of people. Come on, talk to us.
Yeah, that's exactly right, Doc. That's powerful. Hey, ladies and gentlemen, thank you so much for joining us on Community Healing. We are excited about you being with us today. I want you guys to share this out too as well, because this is a series that's going to continue as the Lord wills as we move forward. You know, Doc, I was just thinking about what you were saying earlier about the community, whether it's leadership or individual within the community. You know, we got to just learn to listen to each other better. That's, you know, part of that is listening. This is what I'm getting today. We got to listen to people. We don't always have to be speaking. And even though you have more information, more detail, more education, we need to listen to our community, Doc, as well. In addition to that, we also need to, if asked, we need to provide input, right, Doc? We just don't go out and blurt everything out that we have information on. You may have the answer, but guess what? You may not necessarily have to give the answer right away. So you need to make sure you listen to people and that we provide input if the community or if the individuals ask for that. And last but not least, Doc, this is the one I love, is we've got to be engaged in each other. Yeah. We got to be engaged in the community, ladies and gentlemen. And of course, we can talk about from A to Z what levels that all means, starting at the home, starting with yourself. But we're talking about engagement too, Doc. That's what part of community healing is too, is engaging in the community to help it heal. Back to you, Doc. Powerful.
Yeah. You know, you said something, here's something that's important. You know, I come up with these little things. Because they invite you on the stage doesn't mean that they wanted you to take the microphone.
That's right. Yeah. Yeah. Gotta know.
See, you know, Dr. Carnes, come up and let the people see you. Mm-hmm. Now, what was it? Come up and let the people see you. Didn't ask me to come up and talk. Come up and let the people see you. Now, if they open the door and extend that opportunity for me to say something, then I say something. But because they invite you to the stage, don't mean that you're invited to talk.
I'm going up there to get the mic.
Didn't nobody tell you come get the mic? See? Because you got to get your opinion. You got to say what you think and what you feel. Mm-hmm. Well, I'm gonna cut that off. I'm gonna stop right there.
I think most of y'all got that one out there. I think most of y'all got that.
So you know, sometimes you need to. I'm gonna say it this way. Sometimes you need to breathe in your nose and keep your mouth shut. You know, that might be something good to do. So community healing, you know, so vitally important. So learn how to appreciate the law of mutual benefit. Mm-hmm. If the community is going to be healed, it can be a win-win situation. Healthy relationships must be win-win. What's the law of mutual benefit? How does everyone benefit out of this thing? Well, there must be relational health.
Yeah.
See, there must be relational health, and in a relationship, the community healing is going to take place when there's relational health, relational healing that takes place. Relational health does not happen outside of a win-win situation, but it thrives in an environment of mutual benefit. Mm-hmm. Relational health does not thrive outside of a win-win situation, but it thrives in an environment of mutual benefit.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
Mutual benefit. I think in the political world, they call it bipartisan. Mm-hmm. You know, let's get across these lines or those lines, you know, for the thing like that. So that's so very important. Now, we talked about disorder being embraced because disorder is more powerful than order. This is why I wrote something here. I had this written. It says, because when things are normal and going smoothly, people have a tendency to relax. Yeah. See, and take things for granted.
Right.
When things are normal and going smoothly, people have a tendency to relax and take things for granted. Mm-hmm. But the smart person will be planning ahead.
Right.
See, what can I do to make things better? Yeah. And listen to this. You don't look for difficulties, but you have to anticipate. Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. You know, in the world that we come from, both you and I, and with the secrecy of what we were involved with,
yes, sir,
and the security clearances that we had to have, and procedures and things that we had, it had places in there for the anomalies that could show up during times of operation. If this fails or if this happens, press A. Mm-hmm. Do not press B, press A. Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Disengage valve 4A. Mm-hmm. Plain. Mm-hmm. Disengage valve 4A open valve 5 and close valve 6. It's systematic.
Yep.
We don't have in place things that anticipate, for the most part, from a community perspective. See, there was nothing in place to anticipate the chaos that took place based upon the recent events that took place in our country. And notice how these things occurred within close proximity. You have all of these injustices that's taking place that were, let's say, that were directed toward a certain ethnic group. Then you have these elections that come up, and all this disruption is taking place at the same time. Community healing. Now you have, here's where the rubber meets the road. How dare the audacity of people to come out and support their beliefs when our system has been in place all this time now. So now there's going to be some disruption to see that the things that are still taking place, the different protestings and all of that stuff, because the system and the democratic system that's in place in this country worked.
Yeah, exactly.
But it shows what the country really is. Now, here's something that's important. That's not bad. See, people are going to look at it from a perspective.
Yeah, we're in a country that allows you. Yeah, country allows you to do that.
It's not bad because it can't be healed if it's not revealed. It had to be exposed. Now that it's exposed, now you can deal with it. But see, as long as it's camouflaged and we modify our behavior, you really can't deal with it. You may know it,
or think you know it,
but now it's been revealed. Okay, so it's out now, and then you have people who are so you have people who are out and they're still doing things. So that's important. So hear this: everyone, every country, every community, every family, every individual, and some is in some form of disorder. The question is, how do I respond to the disorder? How does the community respond to the disorder? Not react. Respond. If there's going to be community healing, we must learn how to respond to the disorder and do the things that are necessary in order to bring healing to the disorder. Come on, talk to us.
I love it. That's great. Hey, ladies and gentlemen, thank you again for joining us, guys. I hope you guys are sharing this out. It's a community healing series, ladies and gentlemen, with Dr. Larry Carnes and Elder Vaughan. You know, Doc, I tried to do a little homework because I didn't know exactly which way we were going today, but I want to give credit to Marissa Joy from August 2014. I was looking, basically just typed in, Googled, what does a community healing look like? What's some of the elements of that? And some of these you already talked about, Doc, but real quickly, I'm gonna go through them real quickly. One is that the community has to be open. That means inviting others to come in to find out, work on solutions and so forth. As you know, around the nation, our communities are changing. Certain communities that were a certain way, now their demographics are changing, and we got to be able to embrace that. The other thing, Doc, came up was the ability to have fun together. We don't talk about that enough, and I know that's kind of limited a little bit around the country now, but we got to, even with my neighbors, you got to have a little fun with them, as much as you can, whether it's just conversation or helping them out or whatever you got to do. So that's another area. The other thing you talked about, Doc, was inclusiveness. You've got to be able to expand your community. You just can't be a cell within a city, within a community, or within a neighborhood. You got to be able to be inclusive enough as well. The next one, Doc, was intentional. This was pretty good. I thought this was a good one. A community has to be intentional. Even if it starts organically, it still has to be maintained, but it has to have some specific substance and be intentional for the healing to start, Doc, or for a particular community to relate to a certain area. So a community must be intentional. The leadership must be intentional in order for it to heal. The next one, Doc, that we talked about earlier was diversity, right? We just talked about that. Got to be diverse. No doubt about it. Can't be just one person or one type of person. You got to, or type of a race. You have to include others. And last but not least, this was a good one, Doc. I thought was really good. The willingness to embrace awkwardness, because everything in a community or in a home is not going to be, equal, if you will, or where everything's going to be fine. So we've got to be willing to embrace awkwardness in a community, Doc, and be able to understand there is differences and that we can heal together. But guess what? It's going to be a lot of work involved to get there, Doc. Back to you. Powerful.
Yeah, you know, see, those things are there. Now, here's the thing that comes into play with that. Is my world inclusive of others?
Mm-hmm.
If it is, then I must adapt and take some of those things. See, because you have groups of people who live in places where their world doesn't include outside people.
That's right.
So they don't have to adjust and be diverse.
That's right.
Because their world doesn't include
right.
Interaction with people outside of who they are.
That's right.
I mean, people, you know, you can go to some places in third world countries and they say, whoa, we just discovered a group of people we didn't even know existed.
Yeah, exactly.
Now, once you come into their world, guess who the outsider is?
Yeah.
You are.
Absolutely.
So they don't have to adapt and adjust to you.
You may get hurt.
You have to make the adjustments and adapt to them. So it depends upon what your world includes from that perspective, you know, and so there are so many factors that come into play. That's why, you know, when we start to list things, we can say, well, this list of things may not be all inclusive, right? But it can be a stepping stone, or it can be something that will help you move in a direction that you want to move in. So with that being said, when we look at the situations in the community that we live in, the local community is important. See, don't look to correct something nationally if you haven't corrected it locally. It's not going to take place. Right. Yeah. That was so very important when we had Senator Anderson with us prior to the elections. Yeah. He shared something that was so vitally important and valuable that a lot of people need to grasp and be aware of. In your local community, it's not the federal government that has the most impact. That's right. So you need to be aware of that. That's why I say when it comes to the individual, stop looking outside of your house, your home, your family, and take care of what needs to be done in your world. And see, even in your world, you got family, you got children, you got stuff. They don't call, they don't speak, they're indifferent for some reason. You may have done everything that you can do. You may have tried to reach out to them. They still don't want to respond positively. So you still got some jacked up stuff that you need to deal with. Now we're going to come outside and try to deal with stuff with everybody else. And it's not the other person's fault all the time. Yeah. See, if something's not working right, they this, my children this way, my brother this, my sister that, my siblings this. No, you got just it could be some stuff that's jacked up with you, because you got some personality stuff that you think is okay that really ain't okay. See, so stop looking outside trying to, you know, blame all the stuff that's not going right, this order on everyone else. So now, you know, so when we look at that, let's think about this. If healing is going to take place, it's going to take some integrity on your part. It's going to take some integrity on my part. See, if there's going to be healing, there must be some integrity on my part in order for the healing to take place. You know? Yeah, exactly. Some integrity. What needs to take place in me? How many deaths do I need to die? I need to die to my selfishness. I need to die to wanting my way. I need to die to my will all the time. I need to die to this. See, if it don't go my way, then I become indifferent now. And I try to act like I'm not indifferent, but the words that I say, my body language, my expressions, my voice fluctuation, and the way that I address or speak toward it has already showed that I'm indifferent because it didn't go the way that I wanted it to go. Everything's not going to go the way you want it to go. Who said the world has to revolve around you? You can't do it. Yeah. Community healing. The world don't revolve around you. Ain't nobody that good. Yeah. Come on now. That's right. So we're finding that now. A person who doesn't have the ability to accept the reality will have difficulties. There's not going to be any healing within that person's community, and they can be toxic to everyone in their sphere of influence because I can't accept the reality of what really is. So I
Powerful.
got to understand that.
Yeah, absolutely. It's part of the healing, guys. It's part of the healing. And ladies and gentlemen, this is not being taught everywhere. And there's other people teaching this, I'm sure. But I'm just saying, ladies and gentlemen, you have to understand that this is some powerful information. And Doc, I was writing down that they're going to need help. Now, those, I keep forgetting that we're also global too, Doc. So there's other people that will be listening on a global basis as well. And you may be foreign to all of this, what Dr. Carnes is sharing today, ladies and gentlemen. So guess what you got to do? You got to reach out to him. I want you guys to go to his Facebook page real quickly if you got time today or whatever. But once you go to Optimum Leadership Coach, Dr. Larry Carnes later, or Larry Carnes, type it in Facebook, you'll get that as well. But Optimum Leadership Coach will get you started because you're going to need some help. Don't think you're going to do this on your own. You're not going to be able just to Google this. Google's fine, but you're going to need somebody to help navigate you to what we're talking about today. And as he mentioned earlier, ladies and gentlemen, the community healing starts with, as a matter of fact, I was looking at the word community. That third letter on the end is I. So it starts with me, ladies and gentlemen. So we got to be able to work together. We got to also recognize what's the need, right, too, as well, Doc. We got to recognize some of our needs. But guess what? You can't do it by yourself, ladies and gentlemen. You're going to need some help in that area. So that's where Dr. Carnes comes in to help you navigate, to get you started in that area. So thank you so much. This is our community healing series, Doc. This is great stuff. I hope folks taking notes out there too today, Doc. Back to you.
Yeah, you know, it's interesting because we need to foster healing.
Yeah.
We need to do the things that are necessary to bring healing, to bring a resolve to the chaos, you know, and stuff like that, you know. Then that comes to, that's going to bring us to a place of how willing am I to release?
Yeah.
And let go.
Yeah.
See, that's very important. We have to release the past and embrace the now and embrace the future. See, there are many people, the reason there's no healing is because people are holding on to the past. Well, everything in the past wasn't positive. That's why we have watch now. That's why we have so many injustices and things that are taking place. And that can be not only that can be from a personal perspective, the way some things happen, cultural and families, you know, generational cultures and things that take place in families. You bring that thing on up from generation to generation to generation, transgenerational stuff. You know, norms, standards, and beliefs, and those things are really wrong. And so you hold on to that because that's the way my daddy did it.
Right.
That's the way my mama. I heard my dad. Well, don't you know? I'm gonna say it. Your daddy and your mama's mouth wasn't no prayer book. See, that'll rock a lot of folk. Because there was a lot of stuff our parents did, a lot of that stuff our parents said. Man, that stuff was so jacked up.
Yeah, that's right.
There's a lot of good things that we learned from them, but a lot of stuff was jacked up.
Absolutely.
You know, it was jacked up. Now, if I took that and brought that into my life and practiced that, that's transgenerational now. Now, what if my children take it and practice it? There comes a time in life where we will recognize some things that our parents may have done, and we say, you know what? I love my parents, I love my mama, I love my daddy, you know, but that wasn't right. That wasn't right. Watch this, and that will not be a part of who I am.
Yeah, I know. There you go.
See, that's what we call some necessary endings. So we must understand, what do I hold on to? What do I release? Here's something that's quite interesting when it comes to community healing. We can know, and I think you and I talked about this on one of our other platforms. I can know, see, if I know growing up that my brother was a certain way and he was no good, he had some behaviors and things, my parents called hell with him. He wasn't going to be obedient to them. Now he grows up, right? He's grown now, get into relationships. And now he tries to act like everything that's jacked up in his relationship is because of the person that he's connected to. When I know growing up that he was a scoundrel. I know growing up how disobedient he was to my parents. I know growing up the trouble that my parents had with him having to go to the school and they wouldn't obey and wouldn't do this. I know how the person was growing up. So when I see some things happen in this relationship, now I'm going to side with my no good, jacked up brothers.
Yeah.
Because he's coming back feeding us stuff that's wrong with the other person.
Right.
And I'm going to side with that person. Now, come on, how jacked up is
Mhm.
that?
Yep.
You
Absolutely.
know.
Absolutely.
So
Powerful,
see,
Doc.
you have to come with, oh no, there's some necessary endings
Oh,
here.
absolutely.
Because I know this pattern from the time that you were a little child.
Mhm.
Our parents caught the you know,
Mhm.
with you.
Mhm. Mhm.
And now
Yeah.
you bring that up into an adult, unless there, watch this now,
Mhm.
unless there's been the renewing of the spirit of the mind,
Mhm.
an internal transformation for real,
Mhm.
and not just that behavior modification where we know how to present this thing, you know, and make it look like, but
Mhm.
beneath that stuff is still there. Vindictive people
Mhm.
will do things that are vindictive to try to get things and do things to hurt people.
Mhm.
Oh man, you know,
Yeah.
people are so now see, but they keep that beneath the surface, but you won't acknowledge that in your precious loved one. Well, you're fostering that behavior, and there's not going to be any
Right.
transformation. There's not going to be any healing.
Right.
And even inside of your family, inside of there, that person's jacked up.
Mhm. Mhm.
You
Absolutely,
know.
Doc. Powerful.
And
Powerful.
see, here's the secret. Watch this now. You want to support them, but inside the family, y'all talk about them.
Yeah. Yeah. So ain't got nothing else. Yeah. What else is
See?
new?
Oh
Right.
yeah.
Yeah.
No, see,
Yeah.
they
Yeah.
gonna support them,
Oh
but
yeah.
inside the family, they talk
Mhm.
about them,
Mhm.
about their attitude, about their behavior, about their
Mhm.
mannerisms and stuff.
Mhm.
You know, when
Mhm.
they do or say something, the family look at each other and give them that eye. But you're gonna support them outside the family for their jacked up ways and stuff.
Right.
There's not
Exactly.
going to be any community healing.
Nope. Ain't gonna be there,
Community
Doc.
healing takes place on the inside before it's going to take place on the outside.
That's right.
I'm going to say it this way: consider your ways.
Amen. That's a good one, Doc. I like that because one thing, you know, this is for me, ladies and gentlemen. I just wrote down some notes here for my journey, ladies and gentlemen, starting from high school, Doc, and all the way up through now. Is that the things that had that impacted my life for change was reading, right? Reading books that help. We call them personal development books, Doc. That helped me tremendously to get my attitude better, get my life, you know, fairly in order, and I try to improve myself on a regular basis. The next thing, Doc, was the right people. Doc, I had to start hanging around people like yourself and others that had a goal to improve not only themselves, but also the people around them, right? The third thing, Doc, was guess what? I had to also have the right learning as well. I had to start going to seminars, different events, if you will, that would help stimulate my thought pattern for maybe a more positive way, right, to do that. And guess what, Doc? This is a good one. I love this one, Doc. My job. Now, the job I was in, Doc, I could not act up like I would act up at home or outside of the job. Or I could be fired. I think y'all understand that. You know, we put that mask on. When we go to work, some of us, not everybody, but when we go to work, you know you're not going to do certain things. You ain't going to say certain things because they got a policy and procedure. Matter of fact, Doc, they had zero tolerance on certain things, and you know about that one. They had zero. I mean, you even think about doing it, you could literally get fired on the spot. And I feel like I saw one guy, Doc, I was in Arizona. He did something, man, he was gone. We was all shaking, man. We didn't even know what happened, but they came in and took him out in chains because of what he did. But the point is that, ladies and gentlemen, even at the job, you can modify yourself, you know, to get better and better. But the thing is, you want to do the same thing you do at the job, but you also want to do the same thing when you're outside the job. That's what Doc was talking about. And of course, in business, Doc, too, as well. If you have your own business, Doc, there's a certain attitude, certain things you got to do. You can't do what you can't say and then do opposite, even in business. And last, Doc, without a doubt, I wanted some impact in my own life. I wanted some specific change that I can recognize. I ain't waiting for everybody else to recognize it. Something that I can recognize too, Doc, that I say, okay, I'm getting better in this area. Not ever arriving, but always getting better in a certain area. So, Doc, yeah, this is powerful. I like the job one, Doc, because I remember going to work. I can go into work mad, but then I ain't gonna be mad while I'm at work, but I'll get mad after I get out of work, again, for something stupid, But the point is that we can do some things to improve ourselves, ladies and gentlemen. And it's all about, and it starts with me. Ladies and gentlemen, this community healing, Doc, is telling us it starts with us. It starts with me. And that's how we move forward in that area, Doc. Thank you so much for that revelation today. Get back to you, Doc.
Yeah, it all has to deal with character. It has to deal
Yeah.
with the things that we're willing to do.
Yes,
The
sir.
law of letting go, release your past in order
Yeah.
to embrace your future.
Yeah, that's a
Release
good
your
one.
past in order to embrace your now, to embrace your future. Then you have to be very selective.
Mhm.
We talked about being selective. You can't be friends with everyone.
That's right.
And then there's some things like I mentioned when there's healing that's going to take place in you. This is something that I brought up. Failure to be selective. If we fail to be selective in who we are in relationship with in our community healing, it can be very disastrous because we need to know what that person believes.
Yeah.
We need to know what those behaviors, what those actions are, so we have to be very selective. You can't just,
can't make
connect with
assumptions.
everyone.
Yeah, you can't make assumptions, Doc, if I hear you correctly.
Well,
as well.
you can't. You have to be selective in who you connect with.
Exactly.
You gotta. I mean, it just happens. You go on a job, you work with somebody for 2 weeks. Now you think you're gonna go hang out with them. You don't know that person. That person don't know you.
Exactly.
No. I don't. No.
Yeah.
Hang out. Where is that? Is that a place where you get a burger or something? Because we can't do that. So then everyone has to give. When we talk about community healing, everyone has to be willing to sacrifice. That's the law of sacrifice.
Woo!
What am I willing to sacrifice?
Wow. Y'all hear that one? Y'all hear that?
There's going to be community healing. Everyone must be willing to sacrifice. When we think about what we can do for others instead of what others can do for us, see, we get the very heart of having healthy, successful relationships.
Yeah.
We think about what we can do for others instead of what others can do for us. We get the very heart of what it means to have healthy relationships. Community healing is going to take place when I think about what can I do for the community to help the community to heal? What can I sacrifice that's going to help the community to heal, to be whole again? Yeah. And we're not talking about letting people take advantage of you and you just being a doormat, Right. And so we understand that. But what am I willing to sacrifice for the whole?
And Doc, I was thinking, I'm sorry, Doc, I was just thinking, even so far, I've seen over time, you can't neglect your family, Doc, in that process as well.
Well, that's where it starts.
Yeah, some people go and do all this great stuff, and then I'm saying, what about your son and daughter? Don't they need some help over here? So we can't neglect our families in that process of serving our community as well. I just thought about that when you was talking. Back to you.
Well, and then again, it's a law of appreciation. Now, see, I can go to a place. Jesus said, "Don't cast your pearl before the swine." So if people don't have any appreciation and they continue over time, the word, don't continue to cast your, so you don't allow people to take advantage of and abuse you continuously. You have to know the boundaries and you have to know the time when there's necessary endings, but don't do it abruptly and you haven't really done anything to really try.
Exactly.
To serve your community within your home and outside, So this is just a few things that we wanted to do and talk about, just community healing, in part, everybody has to give and everybody has to sacrifice. So during this time, we want to amplify our willingness to transform, to heal. So we need to just pray that, healing over our country, healing over the world, healing for all people, and just do those things that are necessary to foster healing for the community. And the community starts internally before it goes externally, and for those things to take place. And I'm going to say it like I always say, if the community is going to heal, you have to remember to out-love, out-serve, and then out-forgive. See, forgiveness comes through service. Forgiveness comes through service. What did Jesus gave? He served. And out of his serving, then forgiveness was received. Forgiveness, see, if he didn't serve, there would be no forgiveness. Right. So you out-love, you out-serve, you out-forgive. Don't forget to out-love, out-serve, and out-forgive, and that will foster community healing. Thank you so much.
I love it. Thank you so much. Hey, Dr. Carnes is with us, ladies and gentlemen, on community healing. Doc, I was just thinking some takeaways today, ladies and gentlemen. One thing we want, Doc, we want people, first of all, to have what they call a reflection or inflection, whatever you want to call it there. But the point is, we got to take action, ladies and gentlemen, in our own homes, in our own community. So, that's for you to decide, of course. We just want to encourage you today to take some action, right? Basically do what we call an analysis, right? Do the analysis for your home, do analysis for your family, for your community, and just figure out what is the need. What can I do to help heal my community today? And it could start with you. It may start with something else that you want to do in the community. But we have to be engaged, Doc. That's what I know for sure in our community. We got to be more engaged. You have to come with your talents and with your gifts as well. You can't try to be like somebody else. We want you to be you, right? We want you to do what you're supposed to do. But it's so important to get help. Ladies, that's what's so important here on the Community Healing Series. You got to get help in this area. I want you guys to go to Dr. Carnes' Facebook page, ladies. You're going to go to his Optimum Leadership Coach page on Facebook to start that journey, just for information, because you're going to need somebody to help you navigate. Specifically for those who don't know, you may not even understand what we're talking about, right? You may be something new to you. So we want to be able to clarify that for you, and Dr. Carnes can help you. And if you guys need some help getting that information or getting in touch with Dr. Carnes, you guys can contact me via the link. And of course, those on Facebook right now, you know how to do that as well. Just inbox me. I'll make sure Dr. Carnes gets your request as well. Okay, very serious times we're in. It's going to take a very important and intentional need for you to do what you need to do for your community. But guess what, guys? I don't want you to do it by yourself. And Doc, we don't want people to beat yourself up as well. That's one you had mentioned a while back. Don't beat yourself up. Guys, you're probably doing better than you think. Just do that analysis, check it out. But guess what? We can always do is improve, right? We can always improve on what we need to do each and every day. But Doc, we got about 5 more minutes there. I want to give you final thoughts before we close this baby out. Welcome again, ladies and gentlemen, to our Community Healing with Dr. Carnes and Elder Vaughan. We love you guys. Back to you, Doc.
Oh no, I'm done. I've
right.
done what I'm supposed to do. So
fantastic.
Yeah, optimum blessing.
Amen. Well, thank you so much. We always like to give Dr. Carnes some final thoughts, because he's always thinking about you guys, always thinking about how we can improve ourselves better. Hey, also too, guys, real quick commercial break. We're going to want you guys to go to Miracle Mind Global on Facebook. Miracle Mind Global, check it out. Dr. Lena G. Clark, ladies and gentlemen, is a powerful individual. She has some great information for you as well. On there, we want you to expand that network to your networks as well. That's Miracle Mind Global. And also too, you can check out Dr. Clark. Just go to Lena G. Clark, Dr. Lena G. Clark as well, if you want to learn more about her powerful services as well. And also too, guys, Men of Mighty Valor. Hey guys, Men of Mighty Valor, and Dr. Carnes and I are part of that network as well, along with the Men Let's Talk network. We want to encourage you to go to Men of Mighty Valor on Facebook as well. And we want you to have a great rest of the day as well. Guys, Doc, we got another week coming up. So we definitely want to give the optimum blessings to those this week for the new week coming up as well. We want you not only to just have a great week, but we want you to have a productive week. We want you to have an intentional week, right? Have a plan, have some action items, things that you need to get done. Make sure you do get them done. And also too, Doc, we don't leave our young people out. You guys also encourage our youth, our young men and women out there. Keep encouraging them, because they all need that encouragement each and every. That's part of our community healing as well as our young people, right? So if they're going to be able to grow, we got to encourage them as well. Hey guys, we're out of here. We are excited about you being with us today. We thank everybody for joining us today. Thank you also for sharing this out on your network. We'll be pushing this out on Facebook, LinkedIn, and YouTube as well, Doc. So we're excited about that. So again, we're so excited for you today. Hey guys, we're out of here. Remember, Jesus is Lord. Want you to have a great day, and we'll just thank you so much for our community here. And we'll be back, Lord will, our first and third Sundays here on our network. We're here every first and third Sundays at 3 p.m. to 4. Dr. Carnes, and also in the future we'll have other guests as well coming in to join us on our Community Healing Series with Dr. Carnes and Elder Vaughan. God bless you guys. Take care of yourself. And again, thank you so much for your time. God bless you. Thanks, Dr. Carnes, for your time today, sir. Bless you.
Optimum blessings. Thank you.
Amen. All right, ladies and